Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Ask yourself this question. Do I want government to tell me what kind of car I can drive and what I can say, what I can eat, whether I can go to church? This is real, folks. And it will get horribly worse if you vote for the Democrats in November. That's the truth. Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot. Come on, Patriots, with a Pledge of Allegiance on a Wednesday, August 5th. And a good morning to you and yours. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch on this Wednesday morning, and brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a very safe, clean environment, and, of course, the best in tires. Stop in and see any one of the 7 locations today. And Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance to do things and start things off right. Good morning.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to this republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, young man. Appreciate that. And right now we're going to go to the weather forecast, and it looks like maybe things are going to cool off a titch. We'll take a look and see in just a moment. And, of course, the weather brought to you by K&R Rental with Roger and his great efficient staff at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. Right there, smack dab on the Burley-Paul Highway. You can't miss them. They've got all the best of tools and equipment for you to rent for both long and short term. You better get in there and check it out today. They've got everything over there at K&R Rental. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
High pressure system sticking around, and it's going to be rather warm for today. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Sunshine abounds, and we are going to be warming up to about a high of 97. Tonight, we do have a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms before midnight, slight chance in the overnight hours as well. Some of these storms could produce gusty winds. We are expecting partly cloudy skies for this evening and a low of 58 tomorrow. Mostly sunny skies, high of 90 with an overnight low of 57 by Friday. Sunny skies and 82, 87 for Saturday, and 90 for Sunday. That's a look at your weather for 7 to 8.
Oh, a little bit cooler, but anyway, we appreciate the weather forecast. Thank you, Gina. And right now, I'd like to remind you again, whatever you need, whether you're working in your lawn, your garden, you have a big construction project, whatever, you get a hold of our friends at K&R Rental. And if you're not sure what you need, you be sure and give them a call, and they can help you. 678-3122 on the Burley-Paul Highway, K&R Rental. Caller, I'll be right there. You stand by. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric. Boy, my friends that have been with me for a long time. And that's not bragging, all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And they open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. And very important, you heard the weather forecast, 90, 91, 93, 90, 89. Going to be warm. Why sit there and get all sticky and wet and sweaty? Hey, check out the furnace filters, the air conditioning filters. Don't turn the furnace on, Martha. Anyway, by golly, check it all out at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. I am truly frustrated with what's going on with the gas market. They said on the radio just a few minutes ago that it was going up to $2.42 or something like that. Well, the price of crude oil is only $40 a barrel.
Mm-hmm.
And these people who have the refineries cannot make it on $40 a barrel. So where is the problem?
I think that we are seeing the word I'll use is manipulation of the market. And you've been around the automobile business and basically know that you run your cars on gasoline and diesel. And manipulation of the marketing is going on right now. And there's a lot of people that are looking for a higher price to help line their pockets. And other people be darned. And if you don't agree with what I just said, tell me.
Well, I do agree with you. And I'll tell you an instance. Here back in '04, I think it was, yeah. It was '04. I was in Las Vegas and I bought a Cadillac Escalade. And that is the day the gas went up 50 cents a gallon at the pump.
Mm-hmm.
That afternoon, the value of that Cadillac that I just bought had dropped $8,000. It's manipulation from somewhere, and I don't know where.
You know, I would like to, and now that you bring it up, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it this morning because I've got a ton of things I've got to get on the air, but now that you bring up manipulation, I bit my tongue, it hurts, manipulation of the gas market and pricing, I'm going to go into a segment next week if I get the time with a gentleman that I absolutely trust regarding gas prices, etc., and we'll talk to Dan Kish about this next week and see what he says. Thank you very, very much.
I'd like to just add one thing. It takes about $75 a barrel for the refineries to make a reasonable profit.
Right. Well, I agree with you, but as low as the price of crude is, honestly, Keith, I'm going to stick my neck out and say this, and I think you will agree. With $40 a barrel crude, we should be seeing prices at $1.05.
That's correct. And there's somebody they want to topple us from being a top producer in the world of petroleum.
Yeah.
And what better way than to keep the price of the barrel of oil down?
Yes.
So they can't continue. They can't explore. They can't sell their product. You know, they're in a bad spot.
Absolutely. And I'm going to mention this, and we'll have Dan talk about it next Tuesday. Keith, I know you're going in for a little surgery this afternoon. God's blessings to you. I got to run. Thank you so much, and take care.
Thank you for all you do.
All right, my friend. Thank you. Caller number 2, I'll be right with you, I promise. Don't go away. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. I want to remind you about Dino's Septic Service. Absolutely with the most modern of equipment. They've got those new cameras that can go down through the pipes and find out what the problem is. Absolutely. Sewer and sink drain lines clean. Septic tank pumping. Ooh, you don't want to do that. They do. Excellent backhoe service, and of course septic inspections, all of this and a lot more from Dino's Septic Service. How do you get a hold of them? 436-6526 or 678-1638. I mean, fast, fair, friendly service, nice people. people. Dino Septic Service, you get a hold of them today. Real quick, I've got some merchants that are asking you and saying, come on over to the Cache County Fair and Rodeo this year. Mountain Transmissions at 1146 East Main in Burley with our dear friend Rick and the crew, 678-9110. I'll tell you what, they are your one-stop transmission repair facility, have been for over 30 years. Better get a hold of them today. Mountain Transmissions. Golden Valley Warehouse at 468 West, 1000 South of Burley, owned by the Adams family, and they have very competitive prices. Quality seed ready for you at Golden Valley Warehouse. And last but not least, Perkins Bakery and Restaurant at 800 North Overland in Burley, located at the Burley Inn. Easy access on and off the interstate. Great for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Perkins Bakery and Restaurant. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. I think there's one other subject I'd like to talk about this morning, and that's the taxation of the public to repair the damage that democratically controlled cities had allowed to happen. And I believe that if billions of dollars are being pumped or going to be pumped into repairing these cities, a lot of that money is going to go in the pockets of the politicians to be used in the election against Donald Trump.
Oh, I agree. This money that you're talking about going into cities like Seattle, Portland, et cetera, across the country, that's possible in kind of a fix-up repair type funding, is taxpayer money that, in all reality, had the mayors of those respective cities done anything that is correct and kosher, they wouldn't have had this absolute violence and destruction.
Well, that's right. And I think a lot of these people are going to end up personally with their pockets aligned. And this repair work to repair these cities will be going on for years. And I think we're paying enough taxes on everything as it is.
No, I couldn't agree more. And Biden and his supporters, and I'm not making anything up, you know I'm telling the truth, came out a couple of days ago and he just looked at the camera that was on him and said, yes, you're going to have higher taxes. Well, I don't want higher taxes, and I don't think it's necessary to have higher taxes, and I don't want my tax money to go towards a Green New Deal. I don't want my tax money to bail out the cost of insurrection and riots in Minneapolis and, of course, Seattle and, of course, Portland. I'm fed up with the way that this government's being handled and manipulated by the Democrats and their stance on let the Antifa, let BLM Matters do whatever they want, but come down on really lawful people. This is ridiculous.
Well, Joe Biden is one of the biggest labor fakers that ever come into politics. And if he ever gets into a presidential position, he won't be running the country. It'll be something like Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, or some other nutcases like that.
Yeah, there's no question that Joe Biden is not capable and is beyond hope as far as being any kind of a leader with the gray matter between the ears that he can discern the problem and come up with a potential answer. He is not a presidential contender. He is not able. And the Democrats are just going to use him as a howdy-doody type character with the puppet strings attached until they take over, if they do, the Oval Office. It's scary to me. It should be scary to everybody.
Well, keep on doing what you're doing, Zeb. We need you behind that microphone.
I'm not going to leave right now. And with all the threats and the stupidity and emails and everything, you know, I'm not going to let it bother me. Tony, God bless you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Hey, I want to remind everybody about the Cache County Fair. They've got some big things happening this year, and it's going to be August 15th through the 22nd, Saturday to Saturday. And let's talk about the first couple of items first and foremost. On August 15th, they're going to have that great Neil Mccoy concert, and this starts at 7:30 p.m. Get your tickets now for that, and call the fair office and make sure you've got your tickets. tickets. I've worked with Neil McCoy in the past, and he does an excellent job as an entertainer. It starts at 7:30 on the 15th, and then the next night, August 16th, the Monster Truck Insanity, starting at 6. Once again, it's all going to be as a kind of a kickoff for your 2020 Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to get into George Floyd video in just a moment, so stand by. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, America's Diner. Yes, it's true. Delicious food. I mean, mouth-watering delicious food. And whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, anytime, all the time, all the desserts, and nice people serving you. I know, because we've been going there for years and years for Zeb's Lunch Bunch. And Thomas, Michelle, the rest of the staff, wonderful people. Don't forget, stop in today with your friends, neighbors, relatives, anybody you want to sit down and dine with at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, America's Diner. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you.
Good morning. Just comment about Biden. I mean, he's not fit to be dog catcher, let alone the president. That's my opinion. And I mean, the guy's got some real mental problems, and there's no way they're going to put him out on the stage with Trump. Trump would just mop the floor with him. And so, I mean, he doesn't have to go out, and I think probably he won't. But I know you haven't started on this George Floyd, but I watched that video thing last night, and that Attorney General in Minnesota, he's a radical Muslim to begin with, and he's going to do anything he can to destroy this country. That's what they're all about.
Well, hold on a minute. Wait a minute. Adrian, stop. Let me get in here with you and do a little conversing back and forth. Number one, the video is showing, in my opinion, and I want to get yours on this real quick, so stand by. The video showed me that this thing went on, this confrontation with the police and George Floyd, it went on for quite some time. And initially, the police were absolutely polite to him. They showed a lot of caring for his health and his well-being so that he didn't fall. In one point, they realized that George Floyd was on drugs, and they were afraid that he might fall, and they said, watch it, get in here and sit down in the back of the car. And that's when Floyd started the resistance. Number one, George Floyd was on drugs. That's a gimme. They found out one of the dangerous drugs in his system was fentanyl, which also inhibits breathing. Go ahead. Now take it from there.
Well, absolutely. You're spot on. And I tell you, yeah, he's on drugs. He had more than just fentanyl in his system. And you could see how he was resisting. They put the cuffs on him, and then he says, I can't breathe. And it's just, but this incident has been used. I think they were waiting for any kind of incident. I mean, the radical Marxists in this country, and this was just the spark that set them loose.
I agree.
And we've got to fight back, Zeb.
Well, I agree with you, Adrian, but go back to what you said about Attorney General of Minnesota, and that is Keith Ellison. Everything you said about him was correct, but when he was interviewed as to how and why he was keeping this video under lock and key, his absolutely insane remark was that, well, he didn't want to release it in its entirety because it might damage the prosecution. So that's withholding evidence. This isn't the way you set up a case.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when I heard that, my blood started to boil. I thought, they've got an objective here. They've already lynched this poor cop. I mean, it's just incredible that he made that statement, that might interfere with the prosecution. My guys, let's lay all the facts out on the table. The fact he made that statement probably is going to be the defense attorneys in to throw this whole thing on a different light.
Well, I'll tell you this much about the case and the charges. Number one, I want to make it emphatically clear, and I think you'll agree with me. The video does not exonerate or at all protect the policeman that put his knee on George Floyd's neck. I'm not saying that it should. However, the entire video does show that George Floyd was, well, first of all, we all know he's been a past arrested and jailed felon. Number two, he was on drugs the day that this happened. Number three, fentanyl, one of the drugs that he was on in his system, inhibits breathing and causes breathing problems. Number four, Keith Ellison had no business as a lawyer and an attorney general for the state of Minnesota to hold back evidence because he was afraid it might inhibit or slow down the prosecution. There's a bunch of illegalities right there that need to be looked at.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. And that Keith Ellison, I don't like that guy. He's made other inflammatory, and I'll just make one statement, and that is, and it's been factually backed up, unfortunately, the Islamic Muslims, and there's some good ones here, and I've got a couple of friends that are actually Muslim, but the radical Islamic Muslims want to destroy this country. And so he has a political agenda into this thing, in my opinion.
Well, you don't have to look any further than Ellison or Rashida Tlaib or Ilhan Omar or Presley or any of them, and I think you have a case that would be very bone tight in court. I got to run, Adrian. Thank you. God bless you for your call.
Okay, well, have a great day.
Thank you, sir.
I hope the truth comes out, but that Ellison is really bad news, and the fact he made that statement, I think he just really weakened the case against the cop.
I do too. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Leland Snyder wants you to stay cool, man. Yeah, stay cool in the heat of the summer. And how do you stay cool? Well, at Snyder Surplus at 116 South 200 West of Rupert, they've got the Porta-Cool swamp coolers on wheels, and they've got the big shop fans. Woo! I mean, hold on to your papers. And they've got storage cabinets for all your tools to get organized. I need to get one of those. And I'll tell you what, you just stop over. They've got everything. And when I underline the word everything, it's true at Snyder's Surplus. 116 South 200 West of Rupert. You stop in and see Leland and the staff today. Really nice people. Don't forget on Mondays, yes, Mondays at 8:30, we give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox. You answer the trivia question and you will be the winner. And that's at 8:30 on Monday mornings. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Great restaurant, fantastic bakery, serving you. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear? I'm going to stay in Minneapolis, Minnesota right now. Did you hear? This is the absolute scariest approach to crime and criminals and our society I have ever heard in my life. And hopefully, and through the grace of God, it won't be adopted by other cities like Minneapolis. I lived in Minneapolis for 2 years. Yeah, I went to college up there. And it was a great city. Now it's turned into a hellhole with a lack of any sensible leadership. Now the Minneapolis city government is issuing a what to do if accosted by criminals. And I'm not making this up. They came out and said, just calmly, underline that word calmly, give them all your money, your credit cards, and your keys. And that will be the best way to get out of a crime situation. What? I mean, what in the world? Instead of going out and policing and getting the vermin off the streets, now they're saying to the bad guys, okay, everybody's going to consent to your wishes. You can rob Peter, Paul, Mary, anybody you want to rob, and they will give you their money and their credit card and their keys to their vehicle. What? And then the city government said with the cutback to police, this is probably the best modus operandi in order to ensure that you might be safe. Just give them everything. What are your thoughts on this, folksies? I mean, I am sitting here in my studio and I just am shaking my head as to the chaos and the absolute ridiculousness of this situation. Basically, oh yeah, we're walking down the street, and I know where I had my house in Minneapolis, there were some restaurants nearby, and there were some tire stores and all that kind of stuff. You're going down the street, and all of a sudden somebody comes up with a gun. Give me your money. Oh, yeah, here, I'll give you my money, my credit card. Here's the keys to my home. Here's the key to my pickup, everything. Please don't hurt me. And they get away scot-free. Wow. This is what you're going to get. This is what we're going to have to figure out how to live with the defunding and the demise of our police forces. The liberal Democrats are nuts. They're crazy. They're stupid, and they're part of a socialistic, communistic attitude. You're not going to change my mind. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir. You're not going to change mine either, because I've seen a deal in Colorado Springs where they were wanting to do a protest through the rural area, and the police and the authorities there were telling everybody just to stay inside your house and let them go through.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of people said, baloney, we're sitting on our front lawns with our guns.
You know, the McCloskeys are an ironclad, absolute, bona fide item as far as showing what the left wants you to do. If you show any protection for your family, your property, your life by wielding a gun, they're going to come after you. That should be enough right there with the McCloskey case to make people realize they dang sure can't vote for a Democrat in November.
Well, the way they're showing themselves and their true colors are coming out. President Trump doesn't silence the left or the Democrats. He exposes them and then hands them a microphone so they can dig the hole.
You know, there's so many stories of what's going on with the left today. But when you think about Keith Ellison, the Attorney General, I mean, this guy should be squeaky clean representing the state of Minnesota, and he hid the video, the entire video of the George Floyd arrest because he didn't want it to alter the prosecution. What does that tell you about what's going on?
That tells you that he is one-sided. He is against law and order. The man should be in jail for sexual harassment.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to get an argument from me. I'll go a step further on that. They had a hearing yesterday about Antifa in the Senate chambers, and Mazie Hirono from Hawaii. She absolutely, and none of the Democrats, not one of the Democrats. These are absolutely very not trusting people. None of them would acknowledge that Antifa exists and that there's any problem with crime and mob attitude in America. What's the matter with these people?
Exactly, and there's a lot of Republicans the same way.
Because they're cowards.
They are. They are wanting to go along to get along. They don't want to ruffle the feathers of the Democrats because they have a feeling that President Trump's not going to be reelected, and they don't want to be ousted in the new administration.
And the American public suffers because of a lack of what's going on with their so-called senators and congressmen that they put in those leather seats to represent them, and they're not getting the job done.
No. Those congressmen and senators, I'd say probably 20% are back there to represent the people, and you hear them. You hear them speaking out against stuff and for stuff. But there's 80% back there who are just back there for themselves.
Well, gee, hold on a second. Hold on. I want to make sure I can hear everything. I'm listening. I don't hear the voices of Mike Simpson. I'm not hearing the voices of Mike Crapo or Jim Risch. Oh, gee, I wonder what they're doing.
They're CYAs, buddy.
Yeah. And that's not the kind of politician I want in office.
So MIA.
Yeah.
Missing in action.
Well, no, that's not true either, because they never showed up for any action. So how could they be missing in it?
Well, this is true, too.
I'm just disturbed about what's going on here. I mean, how can a Democrat of any nature sit in front of the American public on TV and acknowledge that there aren't any mobsters, rioters that are underneath the banner of Antifa, when we saw in Portland earlier a photographer, a journalist, beaten and hit and thrown to the pavement, and all of the people that did this clarified themselves as Antifa members? Why are the Democrats absolutely putting their head in the sand, or perhaps even elsewhere?
Because they're sponsoring it.
Yes.
That's my feeling. If you're supporting something, you're not going to speak out against it.
You got it, buddy. Doug, I got another call waiting, and I'm trying to be fair to everybody, so I know you got a little spiel about the seniors. Go ahead real quick, and then I'll take that next call.
Okay, but one thing I feel Antifa is the new KKK.
Oh, undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. Yep.
Anyway, yeah, let's do what we can for our senior centers. Let's support them, donate to them if you can. Go eat there and leave with a full tummy and a full heart.
Amen. I love that. I love that. Thank you very much. And right now, caller, I'll be right with you. Stand by. Don't forget Barry Equipment, Rental, and Sales, Service, and Parts. Oh, they've got all the Bobcats. Look at them. Look at all those Bobcats, all shapes and sizes. They've got all the trenchers and the scissor lifts, and they've got all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators. Oh, they've got all the hammer drills. They've got everything. And you know what? To get the jobs done. Lifting, digging, pushing, carrying, grading, leveling, laying sod. Oh, boy. I'm telling you, you better stop in and see them today. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Napa location for Barry Equipment and Rental. You stop in and see those good folks today. Caller, just give me the indulgence of another 30 seconds. I want to remind everybody that Riverview Urgent Care in Burley at 382 North Overland, along with Twin Falls Urgent Care and Jerome Urgent Care, you know what they're doing? They are telling all the high school students to go in there to the urgent cares, Riverview, Twin Falls, and Jerome. Get your sports physicals. You know why? Because the money that you spend is going to go right back into your schools. What a nice deal. Absolutely. From Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Twin Falls, and Jerome. And they treat everyday injuries and illnesses and quality care, save money. Hey, this is a really nice deal for the community. The cost of the sports physicals going right back to your school. Stop in today. Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care Twin, Jerome Urgent Care, serving you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I wasn't able to hear all of your program. I just wondered if either you or any of your listeners were part of that live conference call with Rich last night.
I was not, because I was not home. If you have anything that you'd like to share with us, go ahead.
No, I wasn't able to either because I had an emergency come up. So I just wondered if anyone had reported on it and what he had to say and what the conversation was.
Let me ask you a question, because you've always been a straight shooter when you come on this program. What is your attitude towards our national representation as far as what they have said or not said regarding the status of America and our safety today?
Well, it hasn't been good. I keep hoping that maybe I'm just not hearing everything, but I'm sorry, but I haven't heard anything to indicate that they're really doing us a good job. I don't know if they're overwhelmed by too many other numbers or just what's going on. That's why I hope someone might have had something to report from that conference call.
I would love, and I mean this, Adrian, I would love for Crapo, Risch, Simpson, and I keep hoping, to stand up and maybe take off one of their wingtip shoes and beat it on the desk and say, wait a minute, we've got to stop this garbage. We're in control. We're the majority party, and we're not doing anything.
Well, see, that's just it. I haven't heard that they're doing that, and if perhaps they are, like I say, and so outnumbered or overwhelmed, but you'd think we'd hear something.
Well,
I just don't like it.
I think there is, and I hope you'll agree with me. If not, we'll talk about it, but I think there is a fear factor of just go along to get along.
I believe you're right.
Thank you for your call. Thank you. God bless you. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You want to hear absolutely one of the most ridiculous scenarios that I have ever heard, and I want to share it with you. There's a house party going on in California, and a helicopter video is being shot of this house party up on the sunroof portion of this nice home. And there are people standing around, and there's people with dishes and plates of food in their hand, and adult beverages. Nothing loud, nothing raucous, nothing out of line. They had a DJ there with music, and they had a food truck there to supply all the hors d'oeuvres and everything. A nice community house party. And the police raided it, shut it down, and arrested a couple of people. Why? Because they were not practicing social distancing, and not all of them were wearing masks. And the idiocy and incompetency of this, California, Seattle, Portland, wherever, you can riot, you can have mob rule, looting and burning and beating people. Oh, and thousands of them. That's okay. That's okay. The police stand there, and they don't do a doggone thing. Again, I wanted to insert some other words. This is absolutely ridiculous. These pathetic mobs of Black Lives Matter and Antifa can roam the streets, burning and looting. Nobody's going to arrest them, or haven't. And then this house party, these people weren't doing a thing wrong. They weren't hurting anybody in the community. Nobody. In the land of the free and the home of the brave, they got shut down. This is nuts. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I mean, you sit there and you got to scratch your head till you rub your hair off of the incompetency and idiocy that's going on in this country, and we've got to restore some kind of common sense. The teachers' unions across the country, and Bigo and I are going to talk about this at 9:06. You know what some of their list of demands were before they go back to school? Some of which I do not understand or comprehend, and I'm trying to get somebody on, hopefully that can give me and share with me more information. Some on the list of their demands, they said, before we go back to school and teach, we want to make sure that all schools are police-free schools. They don't want any policeman anywhere on the campus. All police-free schools. And here's another one that just kind of boggles my mind, and you got to scratch your head and go, what? They want an immediate cancellation of rent. Rent. How they got that one thrown in there, I don't know. And then they're demanding, I love that word, demand. They're demanding much, much higher taxes on the wealthy living in this country. That's the teachers' unions. When they should be teaching our kids our Constitution, mathematics, science, real honest science. They're out there saying they want absolutely a police-free school zone and immediate cancellation of rent. Now, come on. Don't you agree the left is absolutely insane? Time for the weather. And the weather brought to you by, of course, our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Let's see, what's the date today? Yesterday they moved into their new digs. Yes, they did. They moved into a larger space right there on the Minidoka Memorial Hospital campus, and to better serve you. Absolutely, they're ready. All you got to do is give them a call. 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. You'll find them. They're right behind the Minidoka Memorial Hospital. Absolutely the best of people for your hearing health. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
High pressure system sticking around, and it's going to be rather warm for today. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Sunshine abounds, and we are going to be warming up to about a high of 97. Tonight, we do have a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms before midnight, slight chance in the overnight hours as well. Some of these storms could produce gusty winds. We are expecting partly cloudy skies for this evening and a low of 58 tomorrow. Mostly sunny skies, high of 90 with an overnight low of 57 by Friday. Sunny skies in 82, 87 for Saturday, and 90 for Sunday. That's a look at your weather for 7 Durant.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you very much. I'm brought to you by people that really can help your hearing health needs. They are the best. I know because they've helped me. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Absolutely write this number down. Make an appointment. They can help you. 312-0957. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
It's me again, Margaret.
Oh, my goodness. Look, is it Mark? Yeah, it's Margaret. Yeah, that's right. It's me again, Margaret. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's a cute song.
It is.
Anyway, the teachers' union are showing their true colors also. They are not for the children.
No.
They are political.
Well, if you're looking and searching for an argument, I guess you've called the wrong number.
No. No, the unions, I've been around the block a couple times, and I've worked in places where there were unions, and they said you had to join,
Yeah.
I paid some dues, and I got fed up with that job and left it. Then I went out and started working for myself, and I realized unions have one purpose: to get bigger and stronger.
Power.
Like government.
Power.
Exactly. And they will do it off the backs of hardworking people. But they also, off of lazy people, will make sure they do not lose a job because they do not want to lose their dues.
Well, explain to me, please, omnipotent overseer of social problems, explain to me, please, how they could demand police-free schools and zones. You know what that does to me? It tells me that if we had another problem like they had in Colorado, and God forbid that ever happens again, like Columbine and other areas, what are they going to do? Are they going to literally stop the police from coming in and hopefully curtailing the situation? This makes no sense to me.
It makes no sense. And just take a look where most all of the mass shootings have been taking place.
Yeah.
Gun-free zones.
And then quickly, before you leave, I want you to tell me what in the world was that point number 2 on their item list that says immediate cancellation of rent. Rent. Whose rent?
That's it. The rent for the schools or the teachers' rent for their homes?
I don't know. I mean, it's so ambiguous and ridiculous. You sit there and you go, immediate cancellation of rent. For who? And why?
Yeah, and what does Medicare for All have to do with teaching kids?
Yeah, and then, of course, right away, here you hear it, the liberal left, the sleaze, much, much higher taxes on the wealthy.
Yeah. Well, and I do remember, and I'll get off real quick here, but I do remember President Obama making a speech when he was president. He was saying that they need to tax the rich people. When is enough enough?
Yeah, I mean, where do you go after the people that are providing the jobs, the corporations, and the ability to advance, the ability to have maybe go work for a major corporation and go up the ladder, maybe from a office person all the way to being a CEO? I mean, come on, let's get real here. I got to run. Thanks, Doug.
Well, but also Obama is worth how much, 170-some million?
Not in my eyes.
So my deal is back to him, his own words. When is enough enough?
Amen. Got it. Buddy, I appreciate your call. Thank you. All right. Caller number 2, you are now caller number 1. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Zeb. It's Joe with the menu for the Burley Senior Center, which is ham and cheese casserole and all of the trimmings. Come on, come on.
I love ham and cheese casserole. Is it with the noodles and everything? Is that what's in it?
I don't know. Combine can take a look.
Okay. I appreciate it. Joe, my good friend at the Senior Center on Overland in Burley. Ham and cheese casserole. That just sounds good, Joe.
All right. Well, it'll be good.
All right, my friend.
One come all. Only $5.
And you can call for a takeout on that. Thank you very much, Joe. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, sir.
You and your program.
You bet, Joe. Thank you. Nice man, and I'm proud to call him a friend. Joe Taylor, thank you very much. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got to say this really quick. I promised that I was going to read that Paul Harvey, If I Were the Devil transcript this morning. And I thought, with all the other news going on in the first hour, I wouldn't be able to give it justice. So what I'm going to do, I've got it scheduled as a segment for next Monday at 10:46. That's when I'm going to put that on.
We actually have that, Zeb.
Well, that's fine. I'm going to read it. And I will read it on Monday. And it will be coming up at 10:46 next Monday on the program. So for those of you that put it on, that you wanted to have it, I'm going to put it on with some additions, some additives to it as to where we are today. So I appreciate that. And to the callers that questioned about it, I just didn't want to leave you hanging. It's going to be Monday at 10:46. You talk about the cancel culture, and I want to remind everybody about how ridiculous it is. Listen to this. The Northwest Film Center has canceled a major movie that you and I and many people have seen. It's not a new movie. It's been around for a long time. And when I tell you the movie title and the star, you'll recognize it immediately. The movie was called Kindergarten Cop. And in the movie as the star, of course, you remember Arnold Schwarzenegger. Oh, but now they have been threatened at the Northwest Film Center to not play that movie. No. They said, according to a person by the name of Lois Levine, we can't show that movie. No, it's bad. National reckoning on over-policing is a weird time to revive Kindergarten Cop. And this is criminalizing of children. Increases dramatically when cops are assigned to work in schools. Oh my gosh, the movie was a comedy. It had some serious undertones, but it was basically a comedy. This is absolutely insane. This woman goes on to say, because despite what the movie shows, in reality, schools don't transform cops. Cops transform schools, and in an extremely detrimental way. I rest my case. They're dumb, they're blind, and they can't hear common sense. Ay. My sainted grandmother used to say, ay. Don't forget our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and all 7 locations are serving you ready for summertime travel, and there's still plenty of summertime left, and you need to go to maybe New Mexico or maybe someplace in Tennessee or just over to maybe the City of Rocks. Well, I'll tell you what, make sure you got the best of tires for summertime travel, and all your tires for all your vehicles are at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Absolutely. Now listen, you're going to have to bear with my hay fever in my throat. They've got all the sizes, all the tread designs, everything for you. And, of course, along with that, the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. All of this at James and Buell. Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls. Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome. Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin. The Twist family in Paul. And Trent on Overland in Burley. They are the best at what they do. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. Well, with that being said, we next hour have got a couple of home run hitters. We're going to have at 9:06 Dave Bego, an old friend of ours that really knows all about unions. I'm going to ask him about what the teachers union said. And then by popular demand, we had this man on about a week and a half, 10, 12, 13, 14 days ago. Dr. Brian Ardis is back on the program, and he's a straight shooter about the coronavirus. Don't miss that. 10 o'clock, we've got Sean Flanagan coming on, and then at 10:32, Ryan Gerdusky. That's what's happening for the rest of the morning on Zeb at the Ranch. Right now, let's go to the news from CBS. I'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, good morning. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a safe, clean environment and, of course, the best in tires. And don't forget, too, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, and I tell you every day about the route service that you can get on, and just call them, tell them where you live, and boy, once a week they'll come by and get your garbage. It's gone. They've got all the dumpsters in various sizes. They've got the porta potties. I mean, the list goes on and on of the services they can help you with and get rid of all your trash. Absolutely. Western Waste Services, the number to call, 734-6969, always at your disposal. You better believe it. I know somebody that's always there to help you get back physically to where you want to be. That's right, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Nick Greenwell, I got to call Nick. I forgot to call him the other day. Doggone it, Nick, if you're listening, you're going to get a call. And all the physical therapists there really helping you get back to being you. You better believe it, all the exercise programs and the hydrotherapy pool, all there for you at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And the number to call, 678-1191. The best, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Before we go to my guest, I also want to acknowledge the fact that we are blessed to have these folks on our program, and I think they've been here for almost 20 years. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward, family, and the staff. They care. They really care, and they have flexible hours to better serve you. And they always provide the families they serve when there's the loss of a loved one with the best possible support and comfort. And remember this, they always uphold the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. I urge you to write this number down, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert with Joel Heward. And don't forget, too, Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. I know he's chomping on the bit, but stand by, Dave. I'm going to be right there. I got to tell everybody about our friends, too, at Denny's Restaurants, 611 North Overland in Burley. Oh, it's America's Diner. You better believe it. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, anytime, all the time. And the dessert list is phenomenal. You're going to love, like in breakfast, I keep bragging on these, but they're delicious. The strawberry crepe breakfast. Tantalize your taste buds. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. It's true. It's America's Diner. Right now, let's go to the phone line. And a dear, dear friend, Dave Bego, Indianapolis, Indiana. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Zeb. Hope you are, too.
I am having a rough day with the news and what's going on in this country, and there is no one I know that is better suited to answer this first little question or open up the program. The teachers' unions have come out with a list of demands to go back to school. And on the top of their list, they are demanding, I hate that word, that all the schools be police-free schools. And then, you got to explain this one to me, the immediate cancellation of rent. And then they demand much higher taxes on the wealthy. Who in the world are these people?
Zeb, these people are the people that are trying to take over this country. And, the teachers union is, a big supporter of Biden and the Democratic Party and what's heading up to this election. So they're doing all this stuff to put more pressure on Trump and to bring him down. And people need to wake up that these unions, they control the teachers. They don't care about the kids or our families or anything like that. It's all about them taking control of this country. And, they've been working on this for 30 or 40 years by undermining our kids, by teaching them things that we shouldn't be teaching them and brainwashing them that they're good things and what they do are good things for this country. And the American people need to wake up to this, and we need to get rid of them.
Would you please, and I know you're a family man, I am too, explain to me why in the world there would be any sanity or any sense in saying, well, we're not going to go back to school and teach until you guarantee there's no police-free zones and schools. In the time of an emergency, thank God for the police.
I know, but, again, what it's all about, Zeb, is they don't want anybody there that can stop them from doing the things they're doing. And they want to control everything, and they just want the police gone. And, that's what it's all about. And, late yesterday, we had another article come out here in Indianapolis that the unions are getting ready to go on strike if they allow the schools to open up.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, explain to me, great overseer of world events, what in the world are they talking about when they say cancellation of rent?
I think it's I'm not sure what it is, Zeb, to be honest with you. That's something I haven't looked into.
Well, it almost sounds like if a teacher is renting a home or something, we got to cancel their rent and they get rent free. I mean, this is the lunacy that's going on. And then the hooker, the end of the whole story, the big hook with the worm on it, is, they demand much higher taxes on the wealthy. There again, people that have done well in this world, they're going to go get them.
Yep, and that's what it's all about. And, they want everybody in this country, if they control everybody, to be at the same level and they don't want people that have been successful and making more money and all that, and they're doing everything to, bring down the economy and bring these people down as part of controlling this country, and people need to understand that. And, back to your rent, that may be right about the teachers giving them free rent and stuff like that. That's just a thing they're doing to keep the teachers, hopefully, to listening to them.
Yeah. I want to switch gears a little bit, if I may, and I want to go to Joe Biden. I tell you, I saw the man walking across a floor to a microphone here a couple of days ago on the newscast. And I'm not picking at the man because of his age, because I'm elderly myself. But I noticed a man that was very thoughtful about where he put each step. I saw a man that was very wary about when he stood up at the podium to make sure he had all of his papers in order and looking around in kind of a nervous fashion to not being sure what he was going to say or how he was going to say it. I saw a shell of a man that used to be Joe Biden, and there's no way anybody with any common sense or decency can say that this man is capable of being the president.
Well, I agree with you, and obviously he's got some real problems, and but the left, they're just in there. They got him as a face object more, and that's about it. They want to get him elected, and then they'll run the country behind the scenes. And as you noticed, I hope you've seen this. Obama is starting to get more and more involved.
Yeah.
And in fact, I've even gotten a few emails from Obama and his group saying, "Please support Joe Biden and help us move forward." And basically, Biden will just be the president in name only, and he won't be running the country.
Well, okay, stop right there, because I'm going to throw something in that makes a lot of sense to me. Obama has come out from behind the wall covering in the last few months to really show support and try to garner support for Biden. And with that, one of my dear friends, Rick Manning, that's on my program every Monday, came right out and said the reason they're doing this is to set the stage for a new announcement in a very few days that Michelle Obama will be his pick for vice president. What are your thoughts?
It wouldn't surprise me at all. I've been waiting for that to happen, and I think that's what's going on behind the scene. And I think it'll happen here pretty soon. And, of course, then you'll have Michelle running the country with her husband, Barack, giving her the guidance and details.
Well, all it would be, and you know this as well as I do, that if Biden was elected, God forbid, and did attain the keys to the Oval Office, it would be a figurehead job. If and when the Democratic Party says, time to go, Joe, then Michelle steps in, being run and authored by little old hubby B.O.
Yep, you're exactly right. And, Barack Obama... And I wish people would go back and read my blogs for several years during his presidency and what he's all about and what he's doing. And, they can do that by going on my I've got a website where you can actually, when it comes up, you can scroll down about halfway, and on the right side is a thing that says Archive Post, and there's a little arrow that you can click on, and you can actually select the month and years that you'd like to read. And I've got so much in there during the Obama years that people need to read about Obama and his association with the SEIU and what they want to do with this country. But they can go to their website and take a look at it, and I really think they should.
Dave, regardless of whether it's the teachers' unions or the SEIU or any union right now, has your fear factor of what they're trying to do to steal, buy, or corrupt this election, has it gone up? Are you more concerned now more than ever?
Yeah, I really am, and that's why I want people, like I was just saying, to read this. I was just going to tell you the website to go see these at. It's devilatmydoorstep.wordpress.com.
Right.
I suggest people really go read it, and because it'll really explain to them what's going on behind the scenes here.
Does it shock you, like it did me, that at that Senate hearing yesterday regarding Antifa and the mob rule and the riots and the burning and the looting and the burnings and everything else that's going on, that the Democrats totally disavow that there is any worry at all with Antifa, and Hawaii's Mazie Hirono, she got up and left because she wouldn't acknowledge that there was any problem?
It doesn't surprise me at all, Zeb, and I've said this many times. The unions and Soros and all those who, and the SIU and Soros are the ones that really created Antifa and Black Lives Matters and that behind the scenes. And they're the ones that control the Democratic Party because they put so much money into it. And I'm sure I've said this on your show before, but a gal in California who I've been in some of my blogs and I mentioned in my second book, she says every year when there's elections, the SEIU sets them down and tells them who to vote for. And so you better vote for these or we're coming after you. And on top of that, 95% of your dues or 45% of your dues money goes to politics and 95% goes to the Democratic Party.
Oh, my. One other subject that I wanted to talk to you about this morning is the Minneapolis city government. And this could come to Indianapolis. It could come to Twin Falls. It could come anywhere in the United States. They basically have given up. And they are huge proponents back in Minneapolis of a defund and get rid of the police. They issued a what to do if people are accosted by criminals. And you know what they said? Just calmly give them your money, your credit cards, and your keys to the vehicle, and hopefully you will be all right. What kind of insanity is this?
It's insanity that these people are controlled by the left, and they're being told what to do, and it doesn't surprise me at all. And it's sad that, especially in major cities like that, and same thing in New York and Chicago and Los Angeles and Seattle and other areas, the left is telling these people that are the mayors and governors in those areas what to do.
I want to get into this next topic for some of the time remaining here this morning. I know that you and I both have talked about this privately, that we're both basketball fans, sports fans in general. Both of us have played the game of basketball, and you, of course, have excelled and gone to extremely high levels. I will not, and I'm saying this emphatically, I will not watch an NBA game ever again, as long as the logo of Black Lives Matter is on the court, as long as they wear warm-up jerseys that say Black Lives Matter, and as long as they kneel for the national anthem. What are your thoughts?
Well, I understand how you feel. I feel the same way. And, again, this comes back to the Players Union controlling the ownership of these NBA teams. And it's sad that these owners won't stand up and have some backbone.
Oh, okay, but explain that a little bit more, Dave, with your expertise, especially in basketball. The players' unions versus the owners. I mean, where do they have more power than the guy that's writing the check?
Well, because they'll go to these and say, we're not going to play for you. We're not going to do this, and we're going to do that. And we'll play bad and make it look ugly, and we'll make comments to your fans and everything else. And I mean, they'll smear them just like that. The SIU smeared me, and that the unions are smearing, and the left are smearing President Trump and the conservatives, the Republicans.
But isn't there enough power in the billfold of the owners to say to people like LeBron James, and he's one of the instigators of this whole thing, look, I don't care how good you are. You may be the greatest basketball player that ever walked on the earth, but what you're doing is causing a huge racial divide in this country, and you're out of this team. You're gone. I don't want to ever see you again on a basketball court. And with all the talent that's available out there, I think a man could still field a team.
Well, I think so too, but it's having the backbone to stand up to these people and do that kind of stuff. And of course, I think they're being told by the unions that, if you do that, we're going to blast you all across the country. And they're afraid of having that happen because they're afraid that they'll really have fans and everything go down and income go down and all that kind of stuff. So this is what they do. This is what they do.
We're sacrificing integrity and pride in America for the almighty dollar. And as far as I'm concerned, it wouldn't bother me at all to see LeBron James and others, supporters of Black Lives Matter, on a raft slowly going to China.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and you got to understand something else, too. All this leftist is combined, Zeb, and that's one thing I wanted to go over today. I think I might have sent you the email, but this is based out of Patriots, and it said bedfellows and relatives. Yes, the governor of Michigan used to work for George Soros. Yes, the California governor, Newsom, is Nancy Pelosi's nephew. Yes, Adam Schiff's sister is married to George Soros' son. Yes, John Kerry's daughter is married to Mullah's son in Iran. Yes, Hillary Clinton's Chelsea is married to George Soros' nephew. And yes, ABC News executive producer Ian Cameron is married to Susan Rice. Yes, CBS President Dave Rhodes is the brother of Ben Rhodes, Obama's deputy national security advisor. And it just goes on. And it's saying how all this is connected and why they're going to continue to do this to us.
Oh, what a deceptive weave they are involved in. I'm telling you, it's really dangerous. One final thought. I absolutely will not support in any way, shape, or form any of what they want to do, the Democrats and the liberals, a complete mail-in balloting system for the election. What are your thoughts?
I agree with that. I don't like it. I think it can be, and a lot of these places where those ballots come in, and the post office and everything, these things can be taken and changed, and the Republican people voting for the Republicans being thrown away, and all kinds of stuff like that. I think people need to go to the polls and give a secret ballot election vote.
Absolutely. Dave, give us your website one more time, because I don't want anybody to gloss over it. I want the people to check out some of your past writings. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the one where they can go and get my blogs is devilatmydoorstep.wordpress.com.
All right.
And, of course, and that website talks about both my books, but you can go down halfway, like I say, and there's a place where it says archive post, and it says select a month, and you can pull it up, and you can select months from 2010 to end of 2017 while I was writing the blogs.
All right. Always a pleasure to have my dear friend on the program. Any trips out west planned, or are we still just going to have to communicate over the phone?
Nothing planned right now, Zeb, with what's going on.
All right, my friend.
Hopefully we get by this pretty soon. They open this country back up and get people back to work.
Amen. Dave Bigo, extremely knowledgeable about all facets of what's going on. A dear friend in Indianapolis, Indiana. Talk to you next week. Thank you so much.
Thanks, and have a great day.
All right, sir. Thank you. I want to remind you about our friends over to Let's Ride. You need to get out. You need to get away. You need to get on a trail someplace and head up in the hills and go, oh, my goodness, no cell phones, nothing. It's so nice. Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh, my goodness, they've got all the side-by-sides, and they've got all the four-wheelers. Oh, I mean all. You should see that showroom. Chock full of fun. And the hours they're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 2, and along with all the four-wheelers and the side-by-sides, all the accessories, everything you could ever want or need, and a super service department to keep you running at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Quick mention, too, about our friends over in that same area. And that's Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, my goodness, the best of life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more. They really care, and they're dedicated to serving you. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call, take the time, dial the number, make an appointment, 436-4424. 436-4424. They care. Cameron and Siemens Insurance in Rupert. In just a couple of minutes, we're going to go to the phone line and have back by popular demand Dr. Brian Artis, so stand by for that. But before we do, I also want to tell everybody about Patterson's Electronics. I mean, these are good people, and they've got everything everything for your electronic needs. And I'm not exaggerating. I mean, they've got everything, all the cords, all the cables. They've got all the home theater systems, all the video surveillance cameras, car stereos and speakers, complete sound systems. And the thing about these folks, they understand everything from A to Z, how they work and everything else. They know. Curtis and Lorena, boy, you better get in there today. And they've got all your TV sets, too. Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs. 421 East Main in Burley. Patterson's Electronics. And the number to call, 678-6997. You stop in and see those really, really good folks today. One other note before we go any further, and I'm hesitating just a minute because I set it down on my desk, which was a major mistake because now I can't find it. I want to tell you a little bit about, so I found it. Here we go. A lot of the merchants that are inviting you to the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. We want to acknowledge and give a great big shout out to Burley Veterinary Hospital at 2869 Oberlin in Burley. Two great doctors for all your animals' needs and health. And don't forget they treat both large and small animals. They're good, nice people at Burley Veterinary Hospital in Burley. 678-5509. Magic Valley Irrigation, 44 East, 500 South of Burley. Jeff and the crew, man, they've been on our program a lot, and they always are the best at offering irrigation system service and repairs since 1978. They're the best. Give them a call, 678-3101. Magic Valley Irrigation. Last but not least, Penny and the crew over at Minneapolis Chamber of Commerce, and they're on the air every Thursday with us, and they always invite you to grow with us, the Minneapolis Chamber of Commerce, and they are doing such an amazing job to help this area work, grow, and thrive. You get a hold of and be a part of and a member of the Minneapolis Chamber of Commerce. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and I got to tell you, folks, I had a lot of people call me on my cell phone, send me emails, and say, you've got to get this man back on the program again. He is the CEO of ArtistLabs.com, Dr. Brian Artist. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How are you?
Well, if I was any better, the wrong fat man be wearing my clothes. I'll tell you, I'm great. I got to ask you a quick question to start things off, Brian. I should call you professionally doctor. Pardon me for being with the first name Brian. Doctor, tell me why doctors and medical health professionals are not permitted or are being censored from speaking out now more than ever before with this coronavirus. What's going on here?
I'll tell you, it's been awfully surprising, the responses I've gotten for the multiple interviews and on TV and radio that I've done over the last few weeks. I'm amazed at how many medical doctors who are actually attending to COVID patients in hospitals and in ER centers, that they are also being censored in-house in the hospitals from being allowed to promote medications, promote treatments, discuss treatment options for these patients with medications they've seen proven and effective and safe for other type of viral infections over their careers. And I think it's horrible that there are politics involved, there are individuals involved who are not medically licensed of any kind, very often, who are actually stopping the permission of medical doctors to be attending practitioners. They're the ones trained, they're the ones educated, they're the ones with the clinical experience. We should not be denying them the right to perform their duties. That's my opinion.
Well, your opinion is well taken with me, and I respect it. But when I saw that video that was canceled on Twitter and also canceled on Donald Trump Jr.'s account of about 6 or 7 doctors standing around a microphone and discussing coronavirus and some of the medicines and possible cures, and that was taken off, and my question again is very simply put to you, why? What are they afraid of?
The message that was being conveyed by those doctors, it not only was taken off of Twitter and Donald Trump's accounts, it was actually taken off of YouTube and Facebook as a whole, and that was horrible. The message, there's a group of individuals who do not want this message getting out. The message from the doctors, regardless of how they want to slant their reputation, is this. trying to convey the same message I'm conveying to your audience. You do not have to be afraid of corona or from COVID or contracting COVID. Most people who contract COVID will survive COVID like they do the flu. If you actually follow the recommendations medicinally that are in place, your chances of dying go up 5 times, and that is proven through the individual research studies in China. So when these doctors were saying there needs to be no fear, there needs to be hope, and we need to remove this spider web, this is their words, spider web of fear and anxiety that's going throughout the country, you need to know that that can be dismissed. We are working the front lines, as they said. We are in with the patients. We have answers. There are treatments that actually are successful. They are safe. You don't have to worry. And that is a message that the NIH, that the CDC, and that now the FDA do not want conveyed. They want people going into the hospitals following this protocol of an investigational drug that is not FDA approved, and I'm talking about remdesivir. This drug is dangerous. It is proven ineffective at helping to kill viruses, and the people who are surviving the treatment are like the people who just miraculously survive chemo treatment with cancer. Chemotherapy is the number one cause of death of cancer patients. Remdesivir is the number one cause of death of COVID patients in this country.
Okay. Doctor, I've got to ask a whole litany of questions. Number one, let's start with senior citizens. That seems to be the age group or the population group that is the most affected by the coronavirus. Now, I'll use myself as an example, and you tell me like I was a patient in your office. I'm 72 years old, and I've had some heart problems, and I'm worried about catching the virus, but I'm not going to live in a bubble and stay behind closed doors with a mask and goggles on and a hazmat suit and everything else. What are my fears and what should I be addressing to take care of myself? And if I do contract the virus, what then?
Yeah, I've offered this to every audience that's listening to this, and that's a great question, Seth. And I can appreciate how you, in your 70s, would have a similar outlook to probably a lot of your audience and a lot of the questions. They may be the same demographic and age group. Because this is very important. You're going to hear that demographic is the one that's most susceptible to the damaging effects of COVID and the highest risk for mortality. And I will tell you, there's a list of preventative measures you can take to help prevent you from contracting COVID and to help boost the immune system to naturally allow your human body to actually produce antibodies to remove the virus, stop the virus from replicating, even COVID, and eliminate it from your body effectively within 7 to 10 days. I have that list inside of my 13-page report now. You can get that, and I'll offer that to your audience again, but it's D-O-C, if you email me, D-O-C, at artistlabs.com, ARDISLABS.com, and I'll send you that free report. It also has, if you prefer, some of your audience may prefer this, of having a medical approach also in place. Dr. Richard Bartlett, who is an MD, he's out in Texas. He's got a protocol with a 100% success rate within a week of treating 5 to 10 COVID patients since March. 100% effective, and he's using 2 FDA-approved drugs safely that have been approved for over 20 years, so that option is there also. So this is important for you to know that they at least know that there's options. This is also in my report. If they want it, this will help remove their fear that they don't have something in place to handle a situation that might come to them. This is for your audience.
You know, Doctor, I know
you mentioned your age group.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'll just share a little bit about this fear around senior citizens.
Right.
The likelihood of individuals contracting COVID and actually having serious side effects, those side effects are going to be more related to treatment for COVID, even for senior citizens, than for you contracting the virus. You do not have to be afraid just because you're older. There are some complicating factors, though. For individuals who are elderly, a lot of them are actually being treated for heart conditions, high blood pressure,
yes,
other cardiovascular issues.
Yes.
The 2 most problematic are cardiovascular health and diabetes. These 2 conditions, Zeb, this needs to be highly understood, and I hope I can convey this to your audience. When you start medications for these medicinal conditions or these medical conditions, each medicine's for either diabetes or heart disease, no matter what the actual diagnosis is for these cardiovascular health issues. No matter what the issue is, they're going to be on medications. That's the prescription. Every single medication you've ever been put on, ever, for diabetes, any heart conditions, they have negative side effects to the health of your liver and your kidneys over time. The longer you're on them, the older you become, the likelihood that if you add another medication to the body, it's going to put added stress on the kidneys, and this is the problem with the COVID protocols. Remdesivir is proven to cause acute kidney injury. So the medications currently that most senior citizens are on are already causing kidney issues and liver issues. This is why you hear every commercial for medicines, they say, make sure before you start taking this drug, make sure you get your medical doctor to check your kidney and liver functions often once you start our drug. That's because in research, it is already known the drug is going to start to deteriorate and hurt the kidneys and liver. You add remdesivir, which is proven to cause acute kidney failure, in already people who are predisposed to having weaker kidney function, like those that are senior citizens for most of them, they are going to actually have faster acute kidney failure from the actual treatment for COVID. And then what's going to happen is they're going to develop what's called pulmonary pneumonia. Your kidneys excrete water. When you shut them down, your body fills with water. Your lungs are going to fill with fluid. They are going to incorrectly diagnose you in the hospitals with pneumonia, secondary pneumonia to COVID. That is not what you have. You have pulmonary edema. Your lungs are filled with water. You are going to drown to death, which is what's happening to our COVID patients.
Oh, my.
I just want you to know, in this report, you've got, for all your senior citizens and for UZEB, there are alternatives that are safer. Richard Bartlett's protocol is safer. My nutritional protocol is completely safe. And you don't have to worry. What you have to worry about is, what else are you going to add to the body that might compromise your kidney function?
Absolutely. Doctor, that was extremely interesting and very well explained. But the caveat to me is, as I was listening to you, when a person gets a hold of their heart doctor or their kidney doctor or their GP, do these doctors understand the same circumstances?
They're actually trained to understand them. How much they actually understand, I do not think they do. Unfortunately, doctors, especially those who are not in private practice, but are actually employed by institutions, their license is held that they will follow the protocols instilled by their employer, which is the hospitals or the institute they're working for. You are going to be way safer going to a primary care doctor in private practice, print out Richard Bartlett's protocol that I have in my report, and hand it to them. They already know these medications. They've used them for years with multiple patients, I promise. They are going to be more apt to help you and support you. They are not held to the same standards that the doctors are and required to be, and they're not having their license threatened by those institutions. So, yes, some doctors do know. Now, your individual listeners will know better, and you just have to know if you want to actually take care of the body, the more educated you are, like you are getting now in this little interview, the more educated your audience is, the more powerful conversations and confident conversations they can have with their own primary care doctors. Your audience has every right to stand for their health decisions that are being made in their behalf. And only you, in a hospital setting, in a primary care setting, or in your home, you're the one who has all the rights to make decisions for your health. And you can tell your medical doctors what you want done, and you don't like something else they're prescribing if that's the case.
You know, Doctor...
You have more rights in a hospital than any doctor does, and you need to stand up for yourself.
What you just said there, honestly, I have said on my program many, many times before. We are responsible. We are responsible for our own health and well-being, and we need to take the time and the effort to find out as much information as we can. We need to demand information from the doctors. Don't just let them come in with their white coat on, sit down and say, here, take these 2 pills twice a day, and then walk out of the room. I want answers to my questions. I want to know why. I absolutely, if it's very serious, I'm going to ask for a second opinion. If they're offended, I don't care. I think people have got to be more the quarterback of their situation and not the bench warmer.
Nobody knows you better than you do. No one knows your health better than you do. And you absolutely, you're right, Zeb, need to be 100% in as the quarterback for your own health, making those decisions. Or better yet, the coach making the decisions for yourself.
Absolutely.
I'm totally on board. I'm on a mission to actually educate as many people as possible, like I just spent a little bit educating about how the kidneys function, the relationship between medications and kidney failure, and how it relates to COVID patients currently. But I've also started here in the last month, I created my own Dr. Artist show, which is at vocalnow.com, VOKAL now.com. That's vocal with a K. Any of your listeners can subscribe. It's free. I'm going to be picking health topics to educate people on topics, what the medical profession does to actually treat those conditions, the side effects of those issues, dietary recommendations, my opinions and clinical experience, and then I'm going to help break it down logically for you so you understand how the human body works, and then my nutritional recommendations to actually improve the body from the inside out. And if anybody is interested in that and being more educated and having more knowledge so they can be better as a quarterback or a coach for themselves in their health decisions, I'm more than apt and happy to help educate them. And I just wanted you to know that's available.
Absolutely.
If you want me on your show whenever, I will actually educate your masses. If they've got any questions they want to write into UZEP, I would love to help educate them, inspire them, and give them hope.
Wow, God bless you for that. Now, let me ask you a couple of other quick questions before we run out of time. I got to admit, I'm a little bit upset at the Dr. Fauci's and the Dr. Birx and others because they're kind of promoting a one-size-fits-all. You will do this. You will wear the mask. You will now wear the goggles. And I wasn't kidding and being facetious. It's almost like we got to put on a hazmat suit before we go to the grocery store. Why are we listening to just two individuals, basically, instead of a great big number of doctors that might have other ideas and other goals to cure this?
Well, I think it goes back to the same message you've been giving to your audience for years. We cannot have blind faith in everyone that we hear speaking to us, and we need to actually do our own research and make sense of things for our own selves. Dr. Fauci and the decision to actually institute the protocol for remdesivir, it actually disgusts me. And if you want to know why, he was a part of a study on Ebola in Africa 4 years ago. In that same study, the NIH and Dr. Fauci put in an experimental drug for Ebola. There was 4 experimental drugs that were supposed to be used for a year. Gilead did one. That's remdesivir's manufacturer. They supplied remdesivir as an antiviral for Ebola. Dr. Fauci and NIH supplied an antibody. Halfway through the study, this is 4 years ago, the safety board for the study took the NIH's drug away from the participants and also took everyone off of remdesivir because those two drugs had the highest death rates of all 4 experimental drugs, and no one was allowed to continue on those 2 drugs.
Wow.
Dr. Fauci was a part of that experiment. Their drug was actually taken off. They know Gilead, and we're working with Gilead to provide that for the study. That one killed more people than the rest of them and had to be stopped. They actually quote that this study supports the use of remdesivir, and that is disgusting.
Let me quickly take a phone call. I'm literally almost out of time. Quickly, caller, you're on the air.
On the air. Yes. Zeb, could you ask him to give that slide again? I missed it when I didn't have a pencil.
Absolutely. Doctor, would you please give that website again so that everybody can write it down?
Write it down.
Absolutely. So my email, if you want to email me for the report, it's doc@ardis.com. That's for the free report. If you want access to my show and subscribe to that so you can continue to be educated each week on different health topics, it's vocalnow.com, VOKALNOW.com. If you click sign up, go look for my show, just scroll down, click my show, click it as a favorite. It'll ask for a membership sign up. You do not have to do that. It is a free show. Just click manage my favorites. You'll be able to be notified for every free show I do each week.
Doctor, real quick, and I've only got a minute and a half left of time available, your thoughts quickly on school reopening and then what the teachers' unions are saying about keeping the schools closed until they get what they call police-free zones and more money from wealthy individuals in America. Your thoughts?
My thoughts is this. I'll wrap this up. My same thoughts are the ones that were being projected from Washington, D.C. by those doctors on TV. When they projected the fact that this spider web of fear needs to be negated, too many people are sucked into this idea that they need to be afraid. There is no fear associated with COVID. The real statistics would not be any worse than the flu with COVID currently, except the protocols are the things you need to be the most scared of. And the more we follow what China decided to do as far as protocols with social distancing, masks, all of these restrictions socially, we're going to see the exact same kind of detrimental numbers as we do that and our immune systems and our health are going to be affected, and it's going to continue to transpire just like it did through Spain, like it did through Italy, and now in America we decided to do the same thing they did, and it's just not working.
All I can say is, Dr. Artis, you are a God's blessing that we found you and had you on our program, and you're going to hear from me very shortly to have you back, Dr. Brian Artis. And keep this in mind, folks, doc@artislabs.com. And, Doctor, thank you and God bless you for taking the time to be on the program this morning.
Zeb, thank you very much. And I actually watched several of your shows a few weeks ago, and I just want to say I loved how you started it with someone giving us the Pledge of Allegiance. It was incredible. I loved it.
God bless you, man.
Standing up for America's rights.
Thank you, and you'll be hearing from me shortly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to try to make him a regular on this program as often as his schedule will allow, Dr. Brian Artis. And I like the straightforward approach. I like the open honesty. And we're going to have him back. You can bet on that. Right now, it's time for the weather. Holy moly, I'm late again. Time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they've been providing accounting services to the Minneapolis area for well over 50 years. I mean, we're talking the best in tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, financial statement preparation, retirement planning. That's important. All of this and so much more, with people that really, literally are the professionals at what they do. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
High pressure system sticking around, and it's going to be rather warm for today. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Sunshine abounds, and we are going to be warming up to about a high of 97. Tonight, we do have a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms before midnight, slight chance in the overnight hours as well. Some of these storms could produce gusty winds. We are expecting partly cloudy skies for this evening and a low of 58 tomorrow. Mostly sunny skies, high of 90 with an overnight low of 57 by Friday. Sunny skies and 82, 87 for Saturday, and 90 for Sunday. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Gina. And, of course, the weather brought to you by this hour, Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And if you're starting a business or maybe changing over to be a corporation, want to expand and hire more employees, you got all kinds of questions? Well, they've got the answers. The professionals at Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Wow, I thoroughly enjoyed that conversation with Dr. Artis and cannot wait to have him come back on the program in the near future. You know, that's a good idea that he had, though. If you have questions about the coronavirus and you're not getting the answers you think locally or whatever, send them to me, send them in an email, and the next time I have him on the air, I'll have him address your concerns. Send them to zeb@theranch@hotmail.com. Once again, I'll say it easy, zeb@theranch@hotmail.com. The first four are words, Zeb@theranch, and then the @hotmail.com. Send me those, and we'll make sure they get on the program. Caller, I've got 1 minute, and then I've got to do a commercial. So real fast, what have you got?
Now, where is he located, Dr. Artis? Is he in Texas or California or what?
I believe he's, you know what, his home base is in Texas, and I'll have more on that information as to where he is on the next show. I was given his name and number by another great media person back on the East Coast, and I'm blessed to have him on the show.
Well, very much so, and so when these frontline doctors came out, especially this African Nigerian lady who was just absolutely mad as hell.
Yeah.
And she's ignored by the media. And I wish Trump would bring those frontline doctors in to the White House and do a press conference. And Mr. Fauci could stand there and be corrected.
Well, not only be corrected, and I'm going to be a little rude to you, Randy, because I've run out of time and I got to get a spot on, but I think a general information session, questions and answers that the public can listen to instead of being force-fed singular information. That's my thought. Real quick, give me a short answer, 10 seconds.
Oh, certainly. And their front line, it's like, when we won World War II, you got the guys over there, the generals winning the war, and then you got some general in D.C. or at the Pentagon telling you how to fight. You're going, well, you're not over here, dude.
I got to run, buddy.
You don't know what you're doing. See, Fauci's not on the front lines.
I got to run, buddy. I got to run. You're over 10 seconds. You went 32. I'm out of time. I got to go and tell everybody about Starving to Death. Don't forget, if you're hungry, I know some places to go. The AC Drive-In at 601 East Main in Burley. They got all kinds of great kids' meals, the chicken nuggets and the burgers and everything with the fries and the drinks. They've got all the lemon freezes and the orange freezes, and my favorite, the Farmer Brown Burger at, of course, the AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. Let's move on over to Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland, and they're back to normal. One of the great places to get together with your friends for morning coffee and a breakfast burrito. Oh, scrambled eggs, bacon, and sausage, cheese, onions, tomatoes, and sauce, all on a tortilla shell. All of this and great menu choices at Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. Two locations of Burgers Etc., 124 South Oneida and Rupert, and 700 Overland in Burley. My, they've got great corn dogs and burritos for only $1.29. Are you kidding me? Along with all the delicious burgers and sandwiches, everything with really nice people at Burgers Etc. in Rupert and Burley. And last but not least, Steve-O's at 290 South, 600 West of Hayburn. Food made the way you love it. Tasty steaks, and the patios open during the good weather, live music on the weekends. What menu choices, cupcakes. What a great place to go if you don't want to cook at home. Head for Steve-O's at 290 South, 600 West of Hayburn. And those are some great places to go when you're hungry and starving to death. Whew, we made it. Let's go to the news from CBS. Oh, and away we go into hour number 3. Zebeth Ranch on this Wednesday, August the 5th, and brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley. Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. Great people serving you with the best of tires. You stop in and see them today. Along with Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, we want to acknowledge again our great friends over at Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. That's just a mile east of Walmart. And I've been telling you about the beautiful facilities for seniors to reside there and be with their friends, along with the great amenities of 3 meals a day, snacks, housekeeping, local transportation, all of this included in the rent. You'd better stop in and see this great place today. Greystone Crossing. Call them, Matt and Kelly Wiggins, at 650-4979, and they'll set up an appointment to show you the great Greystone Crossing. Give them a call today, 650-4979. A couple of the other, that's all, folks. A couple of other folks I want to acknowledge, of course, are 7K Metals. You know, you can have your own financial security and future through silver purchases that are sent right to your home. How do you do it? Contact 7K Metals with their local representatives, Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon at 430-3259. Tell them I told you to call, and they will be more than happy to share with you all the information about a great saving opportunity through silver purchases and a valued treasure for your loved ones in the future. Don't forget, silver purchases and 7K Metals. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and we have with us the director of the Center for Metrics, Sean Flanagan. Good morning. How are you?
Hi, good morning, sir. Very well, thanks. How are you?
I am great, but now you've got to tell this old cowboy sitting here on a stool in Idaho, what in the world is the Center for Metrics? What does that mean?
Yeah, no, I'm conscious it's probably not that clear. So I run a team of data analysts here in London in our think tank, the Garden Institute. So we're responsible for producing the United States Prosperity Index, which is a comprehensive assessment of the prosperity of the 50 states of the Union and D.C. and then how that's changed over the past decade.
I'm going to ask my engineer, please, Sean, I need to have a little bit more volume, however you can get it. I'm having a hard time hearing this, gentleman. Let me tell you, in an article that you had written, and I was really kind of mesmerized by it, that you think America might emerge from this coronavirus and we might even be financially stronger. Explain that to me.
Yeah, so what we've been tracking over the past decade is how prosperity has improved across the 50 states of the Union. And what we see is, as the U.S. headed into the pandemic, the U.S. prosperity was at its highest ever level and had been rising over the past decade. So now we're not denying the fact that there are going to be some big hits in certain parts of the index, notably the economy, but also other areas such as, health and education. But we believe that, the U.S. can and will emerge stronger from this, a little bit how it responded to the financial crisis at the end of the noughties. And that's what's driven the improvement that we see in the index over the past decade. It's the economy that has spearheaded that improvement. But we also see improvement in education. And whilst, yes, there will be some, at least short-term impacts, we believe that the U.S. will be able to build upon this and emerge even stronger.
Sean, let me ask you this. There is a big debate going on about whether to go back to school or not. I am an advocate of going back to school. Our kids in this country since March have been absolutely devastated without being with their peers, without having any social gatherings at school, learning in front of a teacher, etc. We've got to get back to school. And you think education can survive this?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, Ted, because whilst education over the past decade, ahead of going into the pandemic, over the 10 years it had improved. Actually, when we look at the latest year in the index, we see that that's not the case. And actually, education had already deteriorated slightly an average across the U.S., driven principally by grade 8 and grade 4 test scores worsening. And so that's a concern, because already before going into the pandemic, we're seeing a slight deterioration. And as you say, as schools close, kids stuck at home, the education is going to be impacted. What is going to be the long-term effect? Now, there are trade-offs and perhaps sometimes that need to be made on these things. So, is it right to prioritize the opening of bars and clubs and restaurants ahead of schools? They are difficult decisions, I know, but we may choose to prioritize getting our kids back to school rather than, being able to go for a drink at the local bar.
Are there areas with this pandemic that financially and economically may survive and other areas may not? I mean, let's talk about the South versus the Northwest, or the East Coast versus Arizona and Texas. Give me a little explanation about some of the different areas.
So what we see with the index is that, generally speaking, those states in the North have higher level prosperity than those in the South, and that has been, the case for a past decade, during which we've been measuring this. So, and we see that those generally in the Northeast are the strongest performing states, but that's not universally true. We see the states such as Idaho also performing well, but you also see the likes of Washington State, Utah, Colorado. They also perform well, but there is, broadly speaking, a north-south divide.
When you talked in your piece about prosperity and how maybe we can come back stronger after the coronavirus, you made a comment in there. It represents an environment in which everybody is able to reach their full potential, but not many areas, or some areas, may not be performing to their full potential and underperforming. What do you mean by that?
So we measure, in the index, if you like, is a little bit like a pyramid structure. At the very apex of the, the index is overall prosperity. And then underneath that, we've got these three domains, inclusive societies, open economies, and empowered people. Underneath that, we've got what we call pillars of prosperity, and there are 11. Safety and security, personal freedom and governance, and social capital and inclusive societies. And open economies, it's the business environment, market access and infrastructure, and economic quality. And then in the empowered people domain, there's living conditions, health, education, and natural environment. Now, when you look across all 50 states and D.C. for those 11 pillars, no single state is performing as strongly as it could on all of them. So what we're saying there is that every single state has the opportunity to improve in one particular area. But the good thing about the index is that where one state is perhaps weak, you can identify another state that performs well in that area, and there's possibilities, therefore, for sort of sharing and collaboration. So what is it that state that's performing strongly in that particular area is doing, and could that be replicated and translated to the other state that needs to sort of strengthen its performance?
You know, Sean, I'll say this, and maybe I'm getting off the tracks here a little bit, but I'm going to say that we need to re-implement, reform, and reshape a better work ethic by Americans. We've created too much dependency on the government, and until we have personal responsibility come back and be full force, we're going to be seeing negativity on this, are we not?
Yeah, I think that's, I personally would agree with that. I think, that the state is always there to provide, in times of crisis and times of need. You want a welfare state that's like a safety net, but should only be used as a safety net, and we should look to empower people and create the environment and opportunities in which they can thrive and flourish. And that's what we try and capture through the index. So in the open economies, we're not capturing what is the economic output of a particular state. Otherwise, if that were the case, Texas and California would always be top. We're actually capturing what's the business environment. Can businesses start? What's the rate of entrepreneurship, startups? Can they get access to the finance and credit that they need to thrive and flourish? Are there limited regulation and, around licensing occupation, and is the sort of burden of regulation high or low? We then look at the infrastructure, so in terms of communications, transport, resources, and then finally the economic quality. Is the workforce fully engaged in the creation of economic activity within a state? So all of those things, we believe, lead to a sort of truly prosperous nation, but it needs to be supplemented with, the lived experience of individuals around their living conditions, their health, education, natural environment, and also, is that society inclusive around personal freedoms, governance, social capital, and safety and security? And it's all of those things which contribute to a truly flourishing life.
And I would say to you, and I want to hear your response on this, that if we, the United States of America, adopt more socialistic principles to live by, we're going to see a degradation of more of the work ethic and the living up to potential. Would you agree or disagree?
Well, I think it's about creating an environment in which everybody can reach their full potential. So, we all have something to contribute and offer and give to society, and I think it's only when we're doing that actually leads us to be sort of, truly flourishing and thriving. But, in order to do that, we want to be able to provide, good education for our families. But, we want to have access to good health services. The environment in which we live needs to be, clean air, needs to have good water. But we also need to be safe and secure, low levels of crime. All these contribute to actually reaching our full potential, and creating that environment is really important.
Well, without saying it, then you agree with me that capitalism has to stay alive and flourish in this great United States, or we could very possibly turn into, in a very short time, the demise like Venezuela.
Yes, I mean, I think the importance of being governed, that you raise a really good point there. I mean, the importance of being governed well is really important, and we capture that in the governance pillar. Actually, when you look at Venezuela, it's not, just the extent to which the governance has just completely gone. There's high levels of corruption, even worse, politically motivated terror and violence. All of those things have to be absent from the society if you're going to create an environment in which everybody can flourish.
Would you agree with me, Sean, that as of, let's just say, the end of January this year, we were looking at a high cotton situation. I mean, everything was rolling. The economy was great. Our security nationally was great. And we had the stock market up at levels that's never been before. People had optimism. They were smiling. And then all of a sudden, this pandemic came forth from China, and everything went right down the toilet. Can we rebuild it again?
I believe the U.S. can. I think it has the right framework to build upon that, and I think the past decade has shown that. Whilst it's different, the financial crisis at the end of the noughties was something that was, had a huge impact on the U.S. economy, also other economies around the world. And actually, what's interesting when you look at what's driven the improvement in prosperity, it is principally that economic growth. So, I think subject to being able to get over to this pandemic. I think the key to that is probably going to be finding a vaccine, but I think also, being states ready to emerge and gradually opening up and allowing these businesses to get going again whilst trying to protect, individuals. And that's a difficult balance, and there's no book we can take off the shelf that tells us how to do that. But I think that's the sort of trajectory that needs to be taken in order, to get going and to get building.
I would submit to you as a final thought that I want to discuss on this segment, that in order to get this country on the right track and headed in the right direction so that there still is a golden opportunity for anyone and everyone in this country if they'll apply themselves, we've got to revamp our education system so that it's geared more on pride in country and pride in people's selves and change it from what it is today. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm probably not as close to the education system in the U.S. As others, so I wouldn't want to comment too much. But I think, U.S. when you look at our global index, the U.S. has one of the strongest education systems. But what our U.S. prosperity index has shown is that is not universally shared across each of the 50 states, and there are some states that clearly need to improve education, and there are other states that they can learn from. And I think that's crucial so that everybody, equality of access to education should not just be based on where you live, but it should be provided, at the same level and standards should be provided irrespective of where you live.
Let me ask you, what benefit do you think that this study will do? Who's going to benefit by it, and what can they learn from it overall?
So I think there's a kind of a top-down and a bottom-up. So top-down, we believe that this is really useful framework and almost like a roadmap as the U.S., as each state looks to emerge from the pandemic as a way of building and rebuilding, a truly prosperous society for the residents of their states. And also county, we've done a county level index for 8 selected states, and those two state and county information go hand in hand to really understand what policies should be put in place. But also, it's a really valuable tool, we believe, for those that are looking to hold government to account. Those guys are in a big year this year. People might want to go to this, and at the www.usprosperity.net, there's a profile for every single state in D.C., and you can really go into that and see where the strengths and weaknesses of the state are, and you can see, well, have promises been, have they been delivered, or have they been failed upon? What are the challenges that need to be, in the next stage, and are they being addressed in the current sort of political arena? So it's both a tool for policy making, but also accountability tool.
You are a very interesting young man. I appreciate that. Sean Flanagan, the director of the Center of Metrics, thank you for coming on my program this morning, and I'll certainly give you a call to have you back on in the future. Thank you very much.
I look forward to that. Thanks very much for having me on.
Thank you, sir. Interesting, very interesting about how we, the United States, could very possibly come back even stronger economically from the virus if we apply ourselves. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, what have I got to do here real quick? Number one, I've got to tell you about our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Yes, sirree, Bobby, they're at 459 Overland in Burley. Are you getting a good night's sleep? Are you able to lay your head down in the pillow and lay on the mattress and go, oh, good night? Or are you like me? I have trouble sleeping. Well, I'll tell you what, they're having a sale right now at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More on Simmons Beauty Rest mattresses. Oh, these are great mattresses for people that have a hard time sleeping. And also what's going on over there 40% off on all window coverings, blinds, and shades. Woo! All kinds of furniture, all kinds of chairs, all kinds of recliners, all your flooring and carpeting needs. It's all there at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Oberlin in Burley. You stop in and see those really, really good people today, please. I got time for a call or two. Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call to come in, I want to remind you about some of the great merchants that are welcoming you to the 2020 Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. Butte Irrigation at 116 South, 600 West, Highway 27 in Paul. Caller, I'll be right with you. Or Kimberly Road on Kimberly Road by Red Cap Corner. Holy smokes, Butte Irrigation. They will provide you all your irrigation needs. And believe me, it's true when they say we'll get you wet. They do a great job at Butte Irrigation. Mountain Transmissions, 1146 East Main in Burley with Rick and the crew. Don't forget the old transmission. It's not going into drive. It's not going into reverse. You're not going anywhere. They are your one-stop transmission repair facility for over 30 years. Mountain Transmission, 678-9110. And AMI at 719 Overland in Burley. Look for the big 28-foot wrench. I do every time I go to Burley, honestly. And you'll go nuts over their bolts. Absolutely. They are a great business supporting you. So stop in and see them today. AMI in Burley, 678-4632. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, I was thinking that the people already have been figuring out industrious, unique, inventive ways to, save them, their businesses, because across this nation, people, we learned how to re-find ourselves when we were, when we elected Mr. Barack Hussein Obama, and we had to reinvent ourselves. And so it hasn't been that long ago that we realized that maybe we're going to have to reinvent ourselves again somewhat. And so I think that, people, survival is an instinct. And so we do what we got to do.
Let me ask you this. Have you thought, honestly, Randy, I've only got a couple of minutes and I want to get right to this. Have you thought about you, your family, and your business and what changes could really drastically take place if, God forbid, the Democrats take over in November?
The thought of it is so frightening that it's I can't even imagine. I don't know, because the Republicans are so gutless. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't fight back against the if they took the presidency, the Democrats took the presidency, the House and the Senate. Oh, I don't know, Zeb. I don't know.
Well, I will say this to you, that with the higher taxes, much higher taxes, to use Joe Biden's words, and then taking people that are absolutely unqualified with no mind for this type of thing whatsoever, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as the energy czar, and then taking Bozo O'Rourke from Texas to basically be the man in charge of weakening and taking away the Second Amendment, I'm scared to death, and those are just a few examples.
Oh, yes, it's absolutely frightening. The only thing, I heard one commentator say this, one guest on a show, and he said, if this occurs, and we do have a House, presidency, House, and Senate that are Democrats, he says they will overstep their bounds so drastically that in the next election that it will swing back even farther than it did when we elected Trump. But do we have another Trump? maybe Eric Trump.
Well, I don't know about...
Trump Jr.
I'm worried about the now and not future elections, because I maintain that this election coming up in November is so critical for the value and the keeping of our Constitution and any kind of family values and values within our businesses, etc. I'm more concerned about people going to the polls this November and using their head and their heart and voting with common sense.
Right. And you'd like to think that people have informed themselves and woke up, because, you know, the COVID thing has woke a lot of people up, whether or not they've taken their time to learn where the sources of information are so vast that you've got to know enough to know where to choose your information from.
Absolutely. And study on your own. And don't be force-fed the news from the obnoxious hosts of CNN and MSNBC.
They are a joke. They don't have very many people listening to them. But you see, you've got your you've got your social media, so much blogs and different things. I mean, you could find just about anything. I don't know, Zeb. I just don't know. I hope that people, are smart enough to know where to choose their information.
I do too.
I just keep saying the same thing.
I got to run, but man, I appreciate your call always. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, with that, I'll remind you again about Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center right there at 382 North Overland in Burley, along with Twin Falls Urgent Care and Jerome Urgent Care. Listen to what they're doing. They are saying it's time for all high school students to get their sports physicals, and here's what they're going to do. You go over there, get your sports physical, and they'll take the money that you spend on those physicals and send it right back to your schools. What a great idea. Minor emergency, major care. At the urgent care centers, the doctor will see you now, not in 4 or 5 days. Quality care, save money, absolutely. Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care in Twin, and Jerome Urgent Care. You stop in for your sports physicals and support your schools. Right now, we're going to send it back over to our main studio. I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Oh, well, we just had some real rosy news that our guest, Ryan Gerdusky, is not answering his telephone. So what we're going to do is kind of open the forum up, and we're going to take calls from you until we hear differently, that we can finally get a hold of Mr. Gerdusky, and your thoughts are welcome and appreciated at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What do you think about, like in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the city councils, and along with Milwaukee and other cities, they are taking away the right for police to use various, like tear gas and pepper spray. They're taking away those tools of crowd enforcement in major cities all across the United States. Again, a weakening, absolute stick to the knee attitude. And what are your thoughts on this? It looks like they're going to be banning more police tear gas for crowd control, and really setting up the police for failure to control crowds. What are your thoughts about this? Even though we live in southern Idaho, we're not that far from Boise. We're certainly not that far from Salt Lake City, etc. What are your thoughts about the absolute cutting the police off at the knees with items and issues and means of controlling crowds and mobs? What are your thoughts on this? Give me a call. I'd like to hear what you have to say. We are trying to get a hold of our guest, and until then, your calls are welcome at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Another issue that I was going to bring up earlier this morning, and I didn't have time, is that what are your thoughts about the government? And this is going on all across the United States. The government making neighborhoods more diverse. In other words, coming in and saying, okay, we're going to have this percentage of black, this percentage of Hispanics, this percentage of Asians definitely moving into your area. You have nothing to say about it, and this is where they're going to live. I don't think it's right, and I don't think anywhere in America, when it comes to property and the right to live and enjoy your happiness, the pursuit of happiness, that anybody in government has the right to come in and tell you how to make your neighborhoods, so-called, more diverse. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, what happened to the fire hoses for crowd control?
You know, your question is absolutely appropriate because I said on a program about 2 weeks ago, I don't know if you listened and heard it or not, I said when it came to Seattle and Portland, bring on the water cannons, bring on the fire hoses, get rid of these people in a manner that's not going to hurt them, but definitely they're not going to want to be there.
Yeah, I tell you, it works extremely well.
But along with that, are you, like me, are you in favor of having the police have at least the option of using, along with the water cannons, tear gas, pepper spray, and pellets, etc.? They're not going to kill anybody, but by golly, they better start controlling them.
Exactly. I mean, they're out there. When they start breaking windows and looting, that's the time to bring out whatever it takes to stop them.
You've called in on a lot of times, and we haven't always agreed on different opinions on different subjects. On this one, I think you and I are agreeing that this has been allowed to get totally out of control. The Democrats cannot see the danger of Antifa. They certainly can't see the danger of Black Lives Matter. And we've created a subculture in our society to where they are ruling, and we, the majority numbers, are being subservient to what they want. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I see nothing wrong with protests, but these aren't protests, these are riots.
Well, what do you determine as a protest? How would you describe a protest?
Well, when you're out there jumping up and down and screaming with your signs, that's a protest.
Right.
When you start attacking people and breaking windows and looting, that is not a protest.
That's mob rule. That's mob rule. And it's also just absolutely illegal. I totally agree with you that everybody and anybody, any group, etc., has a right to assemble and protest and, like you said, jump up and down with their signs and chant their slogans and everything. But when they cross the line and they endanger citizens' property and citizens' lives and they destroy property, it's time to bring in the big brass bats.
I mean, it's just common sense, Zeb, and those cities that are doing this have no more common sense there. In fact, they're ringleaders, the way I see it. They should be arrested.
Well, your point is that it should have never started, like I agree with you, but once it does, why are the mayors and the governors of these various states, like over in Seattle, let's use that as an example, that should have been stopped within 24 hours, and they should have brought in the water cannons or any other means available to get those people out of there. They made shop owners shut down. They made it hard for homeowners to park their vehicles near their residences. They made it hard for people to go and enjoy the city parks or walk their dog. I mean, they were a burden on the life of citizens that pay the taxes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The mayor and the governor should be getting arrested. They're the ringleaders.
So what's your answer? If you were president today, and I'm serious when I say this, I'm not trying to be facetious, what would you order as an edict, or what would you do if you were a governor? What would you do if you were a mayor to stop this foolishness now and forever?
I would tell the police to do their jobs.
Okay, they did that in Austin, Texas the other day.
I wouldn't stop them they have their hands tied. They're told by the mayor and the governor not to do anything.
I agree. I totally agree. And I don't know if you heard it or not, but down in Austin, Texas, the other evening, there were quite a few numbers of Black Lives Matter that sat and stood and blocked a major thoroughfare, and there were emergency vehicles. There were people that couldn't get to work. There were other folks that were on vacation. They couldn't get to their motels, etc., in the Austin area, and the police came in, and I'm going to say it, and I mean it, with their billy clubs, they restored an open freeway. Need I say more?
Yeah, that really surprised me, because the way things are going in Austin, I thought they were going to let it happen too. But they actually stopped it. I'm proud of them.
Well, your point, I think you and I are on the same page, absolutely, that we can't let this sore fester any longer. These people that want to disrupt other people's lives, hurt other people, destroy their businesses, and destroy the general domain in various cities, they've got to be stopped, they've got to be slapped, they've got to have a bloody nose, and they can't be allowed to be in power.
Yeah, and they're not really protesters. They're hired thugs. I mean, somebody's paying them to be there. Most of them aren't even from the states that they're looting and burning.
Well, your point's well taken there, because there was evidence of passing out plastic shivs made out of plastic pipe, and their baseball bats and the frozen water bottles, etc., and many other weapons. They were coming out of trunks and cars from around the area, and then these people drove off. So your point's well taken with me, and I absolutely agree with you.
Okay, I'll let you take that other call. Thanks.
All right, God bless. Thank you very much. I agree with him. We got to start being a lot tougher. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir. Here in Idaho, if they was to start protesting, I wouldn't bring out the water cannons. I'd bring out the honey wagon.
Well, you would be ecologically dispersing some fertilizer that might help the lawns grow.
Exactly, yeah. But, you know, if they do that, bring out the water cannon, but put a dye in it that takes about a week before it wears off.
I like that.
And then anybody seen walking around with that dye all over them, you know what they are, and if they're at the next one, arrest them, because they were at the last one.
Doug, why is it, and think back to when you were a lot younger, this would have never happened. Your dad and your mother would be sitting at the kitchen table, and they would be absolutely livid about something like this happening, and in that generation, it would have been stopped like with the snap of a finger. Why have we let this fester like cancer?
Well, the parents would have stopped it then, because the parents taught their children respect. And these people do not have any respect for anybody else's property other than their own.
Well, along with that lack of respect, why is it, and I'm going to point my finger again at the Democratic Party, they're either dumb, blind, or deaf, or totally naive, and I mean that, when none of the Democrats at that hearing yesterday could acknowledge the power and the resistance and the fear of Antifa. Why do you suppose that is?
Well, like I said earlier, I think they're sponsoring them. They're thinking this is helping them. But what this is doing, and I may be wrong, but what I think this is doing, it's awakening the American people to say, wait a minute, this is not the country we want. And there's a silent majority out there in these big cities that are dealing with this, are second-guessing, why do we vote these people in that do this? Let's move out of here.
Yeah.
If they move out, leave your ideas behind you.
My biggest fear is what you just mentioned. My biggest fear, and I was talking to some folks up in the Boise area, the entirety of Boise and Treasure Valley, and their fear is like my fear, that we are going to be starting to incorporate a lot of the same problems in Idaho because they're looking for a new home to start up and disrupt, and that's our gem state.
Well, a lot of people are leaving California because they can't afford to live there. You know, they're leaving. And the reason they're leaving is because the high taxes.
and the government overreach.
Right.
Well, they get here, and they still have the Democrat idea. I'm a Democrat. But yet you move to an area that has freedom, that has responsibility, individual responsibility, and you want to bring the big government with you, you're going to create the same thing you just left.
Do you fear a society or a community, like I talked about earlier this morning, like Minneapolis with their city government programs, with the city council saying that if you're accosted by a criminal, just stay calm and give them your wealth, your money, your credit cards, your keys to the car, and they probably will leave you alone. Is that the kind of society we're going to live in?
Not me. And I do not want to leave that society for my kids or grandkids. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to fight against that. And the people back there need to wake up. If that's what their government wants them to do, then it's time to get rid of their representatives and their government.
And it's no wonder why, when you look at various gun supply stores and ammunition, it's no wonder you don't have to scratch your head in wonderment as to why their supplies of weapons are limited, and they have had a rush of people buying and getting weapons for self-protection because of the society we are now living in.
Exactly, and I heard a percentage, the number of those people buying firearms, it's their first one they've ever owned.
Yes.
I think it was up around 30-40%.
Yes.
Of the people buying this is the first one. So that tells me right there, America is not going to stand up for this come this election. The Democrats are going to do everything they can to steal this election, to make it where they win. But they'll have to steal it to get it, because the American people, I feel in my heart, they will do what's right and vote the way it needs to go to keep America, America.
I hope and pray you're right, but I was reading a story this morning early about Candace Owens. I'm sure you know who she is. She is voicing a lot of fear right now, that there is a potential mass use of mail-in ballots as a severe potential threat of legitimacy in the November election. I fear for the honesty in this election, and I'll still maintain, you might not agree, I maintain that they go to polling places only on Election Day. No other voting is allowed, and show your ID or get out of the polling place.
Exactly. And that's why the Democrats oppose the ID. They use the race card on it, but the only reason they support it is because they can make illegal people vote. People not able to vote be able to vote.
What is wrong with taking pride on voting day to go to that polling place, and when you walk up and it's your turn in line, show your ID proudly and then vote and then get a sticker that I voted. I'm an American citizen. I'm legal, and I absolutely am sharing in the process of being an American citizen and choosing my leadership. I see nothing wrong with voter ID whatsoever.
I don't either. And also, to help, if they don't want ID, then let's get a tub of ink. When you vote, you put your finger in that ink, and it takes a week or two to wear off.
I'm absolutely in favor of anything and everything that will legitimize voting and not turn it into a corrupt fashion like the Democrats want.
But where does it say? It says one citizen, one vote.
You got it. Doug, thank you.
It doesn't say one person in America, one vote. It says one citizen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Doug, for calling. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You betcha, sir.
All right, buddy. Want to remind you about Edith's Cafe. Oh, my. They're located at 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. Have you been there? No? Well, you better get over there today. Tuesday through Thursday, they're open 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 9. And my goodness, all the menu choices, all the sandwiches, all the way to the steak dinners and the specials. I'm telling you, it's mouth-watering delicious. And they also do catering for your special events. You better get a hold of them today. Edith's Cafe, 144 East Highway 81 in Burley, right across from the golf course. And the number to call, the number to remember, 878-2248. Delicious food from Edith's Cafe. Right now, we are getting ready for our weather forecast, and I better get ready for the weather forecast because I'm short on time, and I do have a little time for another call. Give me a jingle. And the weather brought to you this hour by Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Delicious meats, scarrowsmeats.com. Go to their website and check it all out. All the different flavors of bacon, and the hams, and the tri-tips, and the pork chops, and the bratwurst, and the sausages. Oh, I could go on and on. All delicious for you. 324-7657, Scarrow's Meats over in Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
High pressure system sticking around, and it's going to be rather warm for today. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Sunshine abounds, and we are going to be warming up to about a high of 97. Tonight, we do have a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms before midnight, slight chance in the overnight hours as well. Some of these storms could produce gusty winds. We are expecting partly cloudy skies for this evening and a low of 58 tomorrow. Mostly sunny skies, high of 90 with an overnight low of 57 by Friday. Sunny skies and 82, 87 for Saturday, and 90 for Sunday. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Had to turn the microphone back on. I haven't done this more than, 40, 50 years. Anyway, don't forget the weather brought to you by Scarrow's Meats. Oh, Don, come on over, say hello, but bring some brats with you. I love their bratwurst. Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call again, 324-7657. And it is so true. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. I am going to be gone tomorrow. You know, it's every now and then we have to make time and allowance for being gone to go to various doctor's appointments, etc., like that. And the lovely Sharon is going to fill in tomorrow, and I know she's going to have some great guests and great topics, so be sure and tune in and listen to Sharon tomorrow from 8 to 11. I would appreciate it, and then I'll be back next Monday. Want to remind you, too, about our major sponsor, that they do so much. And one thing I want to highlight with their ad this hour is that they have tremendous service for on the farm, on the dairy, at the ranch. I mean, they've got service trucks ready and raring to go to help serve you. All you need to do is give them a call or stop in and ask, and they'll be there. I'll tell you what. 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Center. 7 locations with the best of tires, all the tread designs, all the sizes for all the vehicles, all the trailers, everything. So stop in. And I don't want to overlook the fact that they've got the best in brake service with highly trained technicians, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries, all of this at your 7 locations with James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes in Twin Falls, the Twist family in Paul, and Trent on Overland in Burley. They are absolutely the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We are going to do a lot of things next week on the program, a lot of interesting subjects. And we're going to be doing on Monday the reading of Paul Harvey's great transcript called If I Were the Devil. We're going to do that at 10:46 next Monday and contrast that with what's really going on today. And it's really spooky. He wrote that back in 1965, and we're going to highlight that on Monday's show. We've got a semblance of guests coming up on Monday, like attorney James Herson from Hollywood, California. Outstanding. Along with Michael Doherty, that's going to tell the facts about what's going on with the vaccine, with the coronavirus, and we've got Dog Days, we've got Rick Manning, everything. I want to end the program by saying again, tomorrow Sharon's going to fill in for us, but we always say at the end of the program, the way things were are the way things ought to be. And the 4 words that mean the most, in God we trust. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend. We'll see you Monday at 8:06.